more of an opinion question, I understand. But how much autonomy do you believe the next OC is going to have to dictate the entire offensive staff?
Well, I think that you do have to go into the search with an open mind and say, if I get the guy I want and he's going to come here, and he says, I do want to bring my guys with me, you're going to have to look at that and say, what's worth more? Being loyal and being faithful to guys who have been here and have done a good job, or do we have to get this thing fixed? And that, I really don't have a good answer to that. I mean, if it was maybe one coach and said, hey, that's fine, but, could you maybe really do me a favor, and I think this guy will benefit our team. Could you keep him on staff? Maybe that could be handled. But two coaches, if you say, hey, I would really like Furry and Elliott to be retained, maybe Blackwell too, who knows how that's going to go. So I think that it would definitely be a case of, well, hey, we can try to work it out, but those guys are going to want to know, if I want to bring my own people with me, I got to know now if I can. So you work that out and get back to me, and that's going to be a very, very tough conversation.
How much of this still revolves around the future of Lenoris Sellers? I'll admit, David, and I think you and I have talked about this, I guess it was last week when maybe the word came out that he's thinking about coming back to school, whether it's Carolina or somewhere else, we don't know, relative to going to the National Football League, where a lot of people still believe he could be a high draft pick. I saw an ESPN mock today that did not have him. It had Brandon Cisse in it as a first-round Gamecock, but it did not have Lenoris Sellers. Is there a growing feeling that Lenoris is coming back? How much of a known or unknown is that?
I'll tell you only what I've been able to unearth, and it's very fluid. You never know what's going to happen, but it is my firm belief that if Lenoris Sellers is playing college football next year, it will be here at South Carolina. Now, if he goes pro, okay, I completely understand that, because let's just call it what it is. The game film of him this year has not been impressive. It has not, from an overall sense. Some highlight plays, but overall not impressive. That said, the NFL doesn't look at game film. They look at how you test. And he's going to test great. He is going to be marvelous. Now, if he gets to the combine, he's already gone. The deadline to declare to stay in or out will be well before that. But all of the tests, starting with after the Clemson game and on, that's what people are going to have to look at him. And if he's got people telling him from the NFL, don't worry about this or this or this, we really like you, we know what you can do. And it is a case of NFL arrogance, like, he might have had some struggles last year, but I'll coach him out of that. That'll be no problem. My guys, we'll take care of that. So we'll see. But I personally think, and this is, again, my opinion, if he's back in college, it's going to be here. But if he goes pro, it's one of those, you can't blame him for it. At that age, if it was us, were you going to turn down a first-round draft pick guaranteed to set you up for life? I sure wouldn't. So We'll just have to see how that goes. And as that affects the OC hire, well, if he's not here, then it'll be like, let me think. Who's your quarterback there right now? Kind of thin. Nothing against the guys that will be back, but it's like none of them are proven. So you'd have to say, well, what's going to happen here? Well, we'll go get one from the portal. Okay, do that and get back to me. That might further cut into the list of OC candidates.
Yeah, great point. Before we get you out of here, let's talk a little hoops. Lamont Paris's team goes to 4-0, and I think you tweeted out, first time since the John Roach era, that South Carolina had gone above 80 points in each of their first 4 ball games. I know it's A&T, Southern Miss, and you needed a hell of a finish in that one, Presbyterian and Radford, but are there? I mean, now you've got a Big East team and a Big Ten team coming up this weekend, so it'll ramp up a little bit. How ready is this team for stepping up?
Well, first off, thanks to Derek Scott for that. I heard him on the radio and then just put it out there, gave him credit for it. But yeah, I mean that's the deal, and it's great that you're scoring a lot of points. And you've shown different ways to do it. That's been the most impressive thing to me. They haven't had to rely on the 3 like I thought they would, and they've had sense enough to say, hey, the 3's not going in early. Let's go ahead and switch it up, start going inside, and they've been able to do that. But, they put this little exempt tournament on the schedule for a reason. It's not the toughest they could have done, but it's far from the easiest. So you're going to go play your named teams. And as we all know, it's like these are the teams that if you lose, it's not going to be as bad. But if you win, it gives you a real good benefit. So I realized, yeah, they scored 80 points against those teams you mentioned. Hey, North Florida would have been in that realm too last year, and you see how that happened. So you got a chance to really say, well, Butler, Northwestern, maybe they're not the greatest, but they're still pretty good. And if you go ahead and get that, get to 6-0, now it's like, okay, you start looking around and saying you got a chance to really make this a strong non-con season, get you some confidence going to SEC, and carry on.
Yeah. And real quick, DC, Dawn's Club plays Winthrop tonight. They had a really nice win Saturday out in L.A., obviously feeling good about themselves, and Joyce Edwards, player of the week in the conference.
Yeah, I'm just hoping to go there and see all 9 available Gamecocks ready going through warm-ups, and that they finish with all 9 ready and available to go through warm-ups the next game. It's just going to be the constant question. Every time somebody takes a bump, someone goes down, or heaven forbid somebody else gets suspended or hurt, that you're going to say, man, who do they have available tonight? But hopefully everybody should be ready to go tonight. I haven't heard otherwise, so just got to get out to the CLA and see what's going on.
Appreciate you as always, sir. Enjoy it tonight. DCPNC on Twitter, postandcourier.com. Make sure you sign up for David's newsletter. Lots of great Gamecock intel in there every single week. We'll see you soon, man. Thank you.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me.
You bet. As our good friend David Cloninger, post-game show, coming right back. Hey. Okay. 12, 16, 24. You know what it is?
Oh, post-game show. Terry Ford, Jay Phillips in the house. How was DC?
He's great. He's great, and says that for those who might have missed it in the last few minutes, his feelings it's not etched in stone, but that based on some conversations he's had, if let me say again, if Lenora Sellers comes back to school, then it would be in South Carolina. Otherwise, he'll likely be headed to the NFL. Again, no guarantees of that. Just the feeling that David is hearing at this point. And we'll see. But again, that there was a mock draft today at ESPN.com. There was a Gamecock in the first round. It was not Lenora Sellers. It was not Jalen Kilgore. It was Brandon Cisse. So,
which does honestly
doesn't surprise me.
Cisse in the first round, I'm like, okay, like bottom-ish of the first round, I get it. But what does not surprise me is the love he's getting. Brandon Cisse has arguably been the best defensive player on this team all year, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably make a pound-for-pound case for that. I think the two edge guys have had solid years too. I think Thomas has had I don't want to say a surprisingly good year, but maybe a better than expected year. Stewart, I think, gets so much attention, Terry, but maybe in that backfield it was going to be Kilgore that got all the love and attention, and Cisse has really impressed.
Cisse has been arguably their best run defender by grade and their best coverage guy this year. I mean, again, he's had some rough moments along the way. Everybody had a rough moment against A&M, the whole defensive backfield, but it does. I mean, first round, I saw him as a guy I would see solidly go in the second round. Would not have surprised me. Yeah. But if he gets first round love, I'll go, okay, I get it. Bottom of the first round could make sense. He could play the boundary. He can play the slot. I can see it. Absolutely.
Long way to go. Yeah. And maybe, look, does Lenoris creep his way back into there? I think David's right. You and I have talked about this too, so this is something that is not earth-shattering or breaking news. The NFL is just not going to care all that much about Lenoris' game film this year. They already know that he's got a very high ceiling and that it will be their tutelage that gets him there.
Right.
Not what he's doing in college.
No.
So
you nailed it.
I'll be curious.
Jay, I'll say this, and I will stick to this. Lenora Sellers' upside, high ceiling, traits, and potential. I will be, very rarely am I stunned. I will be stunned if 32 teams pass on that in the first round. I will be.
I agree because you don't want to be the 31 that are kicking themselves.
Yep, absolutely. And I'll say this too. Again, and this is just me, if Anthony Richardson can go in the top 10, Lenora Sellers belongs somewhere in the first round. I'm just saying because Lenoris might not be as explosive or as twitchy or as whatever as Anthony Richardson, but he's not far off. And Lenoris in college, a much better player than Anthony Richardson was. Just saying. Yeah. That's just me.
Agreed.
That's just me. All right, ready for a little vault, man? We got a couple of them today there, bub. I'm going to take you back into your baseball feels real quick. 1992.
Okay.
A relief pitcher was selected American League MVP. Remember who it was?
1992.
Think back to the team that went to the World Series back in the early 90s. They went multiple times.
Well, 92, the Jays beat the Braves in the World Series.
But think about that team. A team went to the World Series a ton in the late 80s and early 90s. That team was looked at as the best team in the American League probably for a 5-7 year run, even though they only won one World Series.
Are we talking Eckersley?
Yep. Dennis Eckersley. Led the majors with 51 saves and 54 chances, becomes the 9th player to win both Cy Young and MVP in the same season. How about that one? I'll give you another one. This is a good one. You'll love this one. 1993, Oregon and Oregon State played to a 0-0 tie in Eugene. What a barn burner that was. Ready? The last scoreless tie in FBS history.
Oh, wow.
Because overtime started in 94. Is that cool?
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought you liked that one.
God, had overtime started in 94? You know what? If you would ask me, I would have said maybe a little bit later.
Yep, 1994.
94, huh?
That's when overtime kicked in, my man.
Yeah, I still, I remember Carolina had two ties in 86 and two ties in, 90, 91, 91 maybe? 3, 6, and 2.
How about that? Exactly. And then one more, because there's a bunch today, but one more. 1994, Rashaan Salam at Colorado becomes the fourth rusher to break the 2,000-yard barrier. He went for 259 in a win over Iowa State.
Yeah, and he won the Heisman?
Yep, won the Heisman. And it didn't work out as well in the NFL for Salam, but he was a heck of a college back, man.
Oh, he was great, man. Those Colorado teams were good, too.
How about that?
They were fun to watch.
Did Deion coach those teams, Jay?
No, he did not. That was McCartney, right?
Bill
Still
McCartney.
Bill McCartney.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cordell Stewart and those guys.
Yeah,
they
Michael
were fun to
Westbrook,
watch, man.
those some good dudes.
Yeah.
All right, hour 2 coming up for the postgame show. CHW Cabinetry. We speak of this a lot. What a great job the folks at CHW Cabinetry do. Star and her crew, they help you from beginning to end. From the minute you walk in and say, hey, I set an appointment to talk about putting cabinets in my home, from that point till the finished product, they are there for you. 803-520-6837. You just call, set that appointment. Tell them what you're looking for. I want to put cabinets here, or I want to redo my cabinets here. Here's my budget. Here's kind of what I'm thinking about looking for. They will do photorealistic renderings. You will see everything start to finish. They will hold your hand all the way through the process. Make sure you're happy. Again, 803-520-6837. CHW Cabinetry, you can go and look at them online and check out their work as well at CHW Cabinetry, 803-520-6837. Alrighty. I give it a couple more seconds there, Jay. I had to jump the gun there almost. All right, postgame show. Our affiliates are shut up, man. We're playing our fancy imaging stuff too. All right, postgame show. Terry Ford, Jay Phillips, as we roll up until 6. Couple interesting college football notes that do not really aren't about the Gamecocks that we should get into. My friend.
Drop, as I mentioned, today's start bench drop are the numbers 12, 16, 24. That's the number of participants that you want to see in the future formatting of the college football playoff. And you might think, well, Jay, we're at 12, and they talked about 16 but haven't done anything. Where the hell did you get 24 from? So here's where. It was kind of quiet over the last couple of days, but there was a meeting of the Power 4 groups up in Charlotte, at which time the Big Ten proposed a 24-school playoff. Now, before I get into some of the nuts and bolts, Terry, I want to give my opinion on why I think they're doing this and see if you agree with me. And this is something, by the way, where Terry and I typically talk about some of the things we're going to discuss, but I intentionally left this one for a save it for the air kind of discussion. We all know that the Big Ten has been looking not so much at private equity, but at an infusion of cash through what amounts to a new business venture that would be called Big Ten Enterprises, and that the state of California's pension fund was going to invest in quite heavily, to the tune of well over $100 million per school, and that's 18 schools. That's been put on pause because they can't get everybody to agree. Right now, Michigan and Southern California have some big concerns about this. In fact, I believe the chairman of the board of Michigan even called it a payday loan scheme.
Right, exactly.
And I'm like, well, that tells you a lot. And maybe he's not wrong. But anyway, Terry, so when that and I have a hunch that this CFP proposal was in Tony Petitti's back pocket just in case. The Big Ten seems now, my opinion, to almost be desperate for a lot more money, despite making and bringing in the most money of any conference in the country right now. Now, the television numbers do not justify what the Big Ten is being paid relative to what the Southeastern Conference is doing for Disney. But that's another discussion.
Right.
I'm just saying the SEC is still dominating the college football television ratings. And I mean, y'all, don't take my word for it. Go find your favorite place to look up the ratings, and you will see what I'm talking about. But the SEC this season especially has been dominant in the television rating.
Right.
So,
even,
Terry,
you know what's even interesting before you move on to the next point? Usually Ohio State and Michigan are the two Big Ten teams who are right near the top, and then it's the SEC, right? Yeah. That's not even the case this year because the matchups, and part of it is because the Big Ten is so top-heavy and the matchups are so blah that they're just not getting viewers. Even those two big dogs have suffered this year.
Yeah, I mean, Ohio State is suffering because they've played it's not their fault per se. It's a conference schedule, but it has been a weak schedule, relatively speaking. And yeah, they kind of put people to sleep because it's just like, oh, there's Ohio State scoring again. Yeah, okay, exactly. Fun. People want to watch good games. But anyway, so when the investment part of this fell through over the weekend, did we then see the Big Ten go, okay, here's the next thing we can do. Let's propose a 24-school playoff with that many more games and that much more money for us in the SEC because we're going to make most of the money, and that'll be that many more teams, and some of them will be ours, and we'll have some of the things we can do. Terry, this is not where I think 12 and 16 – and I'll be cautious here, but where 12 and 16 have been as much about parity and access relative to income, and all are true, going to 24 just seems a lot more about income at that point. This is kind of like baseball when it added, the one game wild card and all, whatever.
Sure.
Like, is that really about access? Or are you just trying to make money, or things like that? That's not an apples to apples, but you see the point I'm making. But I look at this and I'm like, Big Ten, what are we doing here at 24? I know that the FCS has 24, Terry, and D2 has 24 or whatever. I know it's a format that works, but we're going to be stretching this thing into the weekend before the Super Bowl. We already saw last year that a marquee matchup of Ohio State versus Notre Dame didn't do as well as a lot of its counterparts in the CFP championship era. So I just think this really is a lot more about money grab and not about access.
Yes. No, you're right, man. Look, the Big Ten, and it is fishy how this all of a sudden came up after the whole getting money from the state of California system fell through, because Southern Cal and Michigan were like, we want no part of this. Now, Michigan even said, we'll go independent before we do this. So, yes, I agree with you. I think it has a smell to it. Smell that?
Yeah.
Smell that? Yeah, I smell that.
Yeah.
That's not my armpit on the microphone. It's got a smell to it. Absolutely has a smell to it. And I think, look, the Big Ten, Petiti has been hired to hoard as much money as humanly possible. That's what the Big Ten is about. We see it. You have teams in 17 time zones. You're adding these certain, obviously, big brands so you can, say, hey, look, we've got this population possibly that you can watch, and blah, blah, blah. All the tricks, right, Jay? They're doing it all to maximize revenue streams. And getting more playoff teams, because in their mind, the more playoff teams, the more Big Ten teams are in the playoffs. But here's my thing about that. The Big Ten, and this is not just now, the Big Ten has always been top-heavy, Jay. Always has been.
Yes.
If you look at the Big Ten right now from middle down, and if that conference is jumping down saying we can get even more teams, well, who are the extra teams? I mean, you got Iowa, it's hovering around. Okay, whatever. Southern Cal, obviously, but half of your league sucks. Why don't you worry about getting competitive through your whole league so maybe you can build up a depth of quality teams and you can have a conversation about, taking over the playoff. Your league is terrible. Your TV ratings stink because your matchups are awful because you only have a few marquee teams anybody wants to see. I don't care. Look, Jay, you and I both know this. Let me throw this at you. All right, ready? The New York Jets are in market number 1.
Yeah.
Are they watchable?
No.
My point is the Big Ten can hoard every big market. But if you don't have a watchable team in that market, no one cares.
Yeah, nobody cares.
And especially because some of these markets, and I'll use it, L.A., UCLA's in L.A., no one cares because they're irrelevant. Look, I am from the state of Maryland. I'm from Baltimore. Baltimore is a top 20 TV market. Washington, D.C. is a top 10 TV market. And I'm going to say this as nice as I can. Nobody gives a bleep about Maryland football.
Right.
Unless they're really, really good. You've hovered around that area. You know what I'm talking about.
I have.
And if you
Commanders and Ravens, man. It's Commanders and Ravens. And, the Terps have a game this week.
Did they play Saturday? They probably lost. Yeah, they did. All right. And I'll give you another one. How many people in New York City even know where Rutgers is?
8.
Right. So my point is you can hoard all these big markets. And
they all went to Rutgers. That's how they knew.
And they moved to New York City to get out of New Jersey. So the point is you can get all these big markets, Jay, and then you can show the population of the TV networks, here's our reach. It's called reach. Here's our reach. But that doesn't mean you have compelling football or teams that belong in a playoff or teams that can build a resume. The Big Ten is so busy running after markets and population and money. Their conference, besides the top of it, ain't that good, man. Just saying.
So the Big Ten proposed, by the way, so I can give you some details on this, 24 schools. What they want is to have 4 automatic bids for each Power 4 league. Here, you ready for this? It's the 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 2 plus 6 model. So, again, there will be a quiz later.
I got to write that down. What was that again?
4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 2 plus 6.
Okay.
So
good.
that's 4 from each Power 4 league, two group of 6, and then 6 at-larges to get you to your 24. Terry, I think you make a great point, too, about the Big Ten being top-heavy. And Carolina fans, this is coincidental. This is not said, so I don't want anybody to misconstrue what I'm getting ready to say in an effort to go, hey, Phillips is trying to make us feel better. However, if you forget about who it was. The fact is, a team that just finished with one conference win pushed the two likely SEC championship participants to late until the fourth quarter before both of them knew they had won the football game. Take that however you want to, but a fact is a fact. Carolina took Alabama to late. Unfortunate loss at Williams-Brice, and we know what happened this past Saturday. But the fact of the matter is, those were games that South Carolina was in until the end. It could have been Vanderbilt, Terry. It could have been Auburn. It could have been anybody, Arkansas. It doesn't matter that it's Carolina. The point is a team at the bottom is able to push the teams at the top. And, otherwise, Ohio State just drubs the teams at the bottom. Indiana has been drubbing the teams at the bottom. They are not competitive like that. So, again, whether it was Carolina or someone else in the Southeastern Conference, you see the evidence. You see the on-field result that teams at the bottom of the SEC can routinely push the teams at the top of the SEC. And, again, Carolina pushed the two teams that are most likely to play for the SEC title to late until the fourth quarter. So, again, that's really – I'm not saying that about Carolina specifically as much as I am about the health of the Southeastern Conference. If I'm the rest, and Greg Sankey, by the way, has been very public in the last few days because I guess he knew this was coming about 16. That we need to be. I'm paraphrasing, but we need to be focused on 16. But I don't see this as a hey, let's all join hands and sing Kumbaya thing and all participate more in a playoff. I see this as the Big Ten going, well, dadgummit, that first thing we tried to make more money didn't work. Now we better try this. And I don't think this one's going to work either, Terry, but it reeks of some form or level of desperation.
Yeah, and by the way, do you think Tony Petitti said dadgummit?
That probably not. I don't know.
I wish he would. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, real quick to your point now. All right, Purdue, Michigan State, Wisconsin, Penn State, Maryland, Rutgers, UCLA, Northwestern, blah. And if we're going by this whole model you just brought up that my head exploded. Indiana, Ohio State.
4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 2 plus 6.
That should be a Schoolhouse Rock song. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I'll work on it.
I'll work on that. Indiana, Ohio State, Oregon feel like they're in the college football playoff unless Oregon gets beat. Southern Cal and Michigan are hovering underneath. Besides that, you've got nothing else in the Big Ten that screams anywhere close to a college football playoff. So when you build this 4 plus 4 plus 6 plus 4 plus 2 plus 9 plus 10 plus 2 plus 1, what do you think? Who's going? Iowa, Washington, Minnesota, Illinois, Nebraska? I mean, what do you think is going to get in with that crew?
Well, I don't know how many at-larges they'll get, and I think that would I think that would overwhelm them. Yeah, you'll get your 4, and then what? I think they hope they'll get a bunch of them, and then when the SEC grabs them all, or this year the ACC takes more than you would think. And let's face it, the ACC might be getting ready to get better again. Who knows, man?
I mean, the Big 12 this year is got a little bit more interesting top level teams. So my point is, right now you have 3. So that's why they want 4, Jay, because they don't have a guarantee they can get 4 every year because their league's so top heavy. So they want to guarantee a 4th, and then they hope they can maybe get another wild card or 2 in there at these at large. But really, again, start with making your league, deeper. Concentrate on your league, man.
Yeah, but that's today's start bench drop, 12, 16, 24. What number do you want to see in the future of the college football playoff? Speaking of which, there's 12 right now. We'll come back on the other side. The latest rankings are out, and there is one big point of contention that a lot of people had with last night's rankings. We'll do that, and our buddy Patrick Davis is going to join us coming up in just a little bit, too. It's the Wednesday postgame show. Integrated Media is ready to make everything you watch and listen to better than ever. They're also ready to help you make your home more secure and comfortable and make it more convenient for you to control every single thing I just talked about and a whole lot more. When it comes to home theater, again, nobody better. And this time of year especially, go ahead and upgrade ahead of all these college and NFL playoffs. All your holiday favorites are there, all the parades, and everything else that goes into basketball season, everything else you want to watch, right? You know what I'm talking about here. If you're streaming your entertainment, whether it's gaming or television or movies, make sure you've got Wi-Fi that is built for the home but is commercial grade that can handle the load. And especially these days, even more information being streamed, you need to make sure that your family has everything it needs. Security, video cameras in and outdoors, all kinds of things they can do for you there. Outdoor home theater, whatever you want. 803-948-8327. There is nobody better to work with than Integrated Media.
I think when you look, Reese, at Notre Dame and Miami, we really compare the losses of those two teams. Miami has lost to two unranked teams. Notre Dame has lost to two teams that are ranked in our top 13. And so we really haven't compared those two teams. They haven't been in similar comparative pools to date. But Miami is creeping up into that range where they will be compared to Notre Dame if something happens above them.
All righty, there is the new guy in charge. The College Football Playoff chair, Hunter Yurachek, who, by the way, never expected to be in charge of the College Football Playoff as a chair. But I digress. Old Hunter is basically saying, Jay, forget the head-to-head. Notre Dame's 2 losses are better losses than Miami's 2 losses. You with that?
I'm not. I get it. It's, again, one of Notre Dame's losses is to Miami. I get what they're saying. He says they haven't been compared yet. Why?
I mean,
what do you?
Yeah.
What is that like? What? Why?
They're both 8-2, Jay. They're both.
I got another one, Terry. And again, I don't want anybody to accuse me of trying to be an SEC homer here, but Alabama's number 10. Notre Dame is number 9.
Yeah.
Alabama has beaten 4 currently ranked teams. Notre Dame has beaten 1. They're both 8-2.
I agree 100%. Look,
I mean, 4. You've beaten 4, including Georgia.
Yes.
Including Georgia in Athens.
You beat the number 4 team in their house, and that doesn't account for anything? Yeah, look, we get the Notre Dame bias because we know it's there, right? And we know it's a TV show. We get it. It's Notre Dame, and you're going to do everything you can to pimp up the Irish. But it's almost embarrassing, right? Because I mean, the points are there. Notre Dame is 8-2. Miami is 8-2. Miami beat Notre Dame head-to-head. Miami's got better wins. You know what they didn't bring up? Miami does have, I believe, better wins than Notre Dame. Or on the same part. It's not like Notre Dame's got all these wow wins. You just said they've got no wins against top 25.
Notre Dame's one ranked win.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this is current. This is not at the time. And I by the way, I'm a believer in that. I am not a. I know some people like to say, well, they were ranked when they beat them. You gotta keep going. And as the season progresses, where are the schools that you played? Notre Dame has beaten Southern California. That's it. And it's a good win. I'm not knocking it.
But again, to your point, Miami's good win is Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. Now, Miami, they say, has worse losses. Okay. And look, Notre Dame's other loss was the 1-point loss at home to A&M. And by the way, I like Notre Dame a lot. I'm not here to say Notre Dame doesn't deserve consideration. I just might be moving Miami up a little bit. I don't know if Miami deserves to be ahead of Utah or BYU. I don't think that. Look, I think Bama should be ahead of Notre Dame at this point. Oklahoma's ahead of Alabama because they just beat them.
Yeah.
In Tuscaloosa, so I get that one.
Yep, I'm with you about Bama. Bama should be ahead of Notre Dame, absolutely. Now, again,
but Alabama has beaten Georgia, Vanderbilt, Tennessee, and Missouri. That's the currently ranked teams that Alabama has beaten.
Yeah.
I don't know how impressive or unimpressive that is. I know the Florida State loss is an anchor that's going to really drag them down. I understand that. And again, they lost at home to Oklahoma, but does that mean they should be behind Notre Dame? I'm not so sure.
But to be fair, Jay, Notre Dame has beaten Purdue and NC State.
And Miami destroyed NC State the other day. Destroyed them.
I am with you. I think at the very least, Notre Dame and Alabama should be flip-flopped at the 9 and 10 spot. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I don't want to look. I know I'm getting a little too worked up for the third poll of the year. There's still 2 weeks left of this before they make final decisions on who gets in. But at this point, well, I'll ask you a question that I asked Tyler earlier. Georgia right now is unlikely to play for the SEC championship. Georgia is also likely to finish 11-1. I like Georgia Tech. And I hope that's another good game. We mentioned it earlier in the week. I hope it's as good a game as last year's because that was exciting as all get out. But I still expect Georgia to beat Tech and finish 11-1. Georgia will beat Charlotte this weekend. And by the way, I don't know if you saw it, Terry, but yes, it has been confirmed. Kirby Smart's Aunt Mamie is going to start at outside linebacker for Georgia this week.
Hey,
she's
Aunt
earned
Mamie
the time.
can set the edge, pal. Just
she's
saying.
earned the time. That's all. Just it's not a knock on Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
But Aunt Mamie has deserved some time. Anyway, no. But Georgia may not play for the SEC. Will Georgia stay in the top 4 if they don't even play for the SEC?
Let's take a look here. To your point,
because I think, and that this assumes that the A&M, look, A&M could still lose to Texas and play for the SEC title,
right?
And Alabama just needs to beat Auburn, and that's not a gimme, I suppose.
Weird things happen on the plains, dude.
No, I get it, and they Alabama should. So assuming what's projected for now.
So let's say Alabama plays A&M for the SEC championship. All right, so Texas Tech will play for the Big 12 championship, correct?
Yeah, and Texas Tech and BYU are headed to a rematch.
And let's say Texas Tech smacks BYU again, and they are the Big 12 champion, and they're 12-1, whatever. I could see Texas Tech jumping Georgia. Whether I agree with that or not, I think if you ask me right now, I think Georgia's better than Texas Tech. Texas Tech's got dudes. I mean, don't get me wrong, but I think if you ask me, I'd say Georgia's probably better. But if we're going by these resumes, and Georgia doesn't even play for the SEC championship, but Texas Tech wins the Big 12 with one loss, I wouldn't be jumping up and down in anger if Texas Tech jumped to 4. But I don't think Georgia would fall any farther than 5 in this whole thing. I just don't.
Georgia will have at that point beaten Mississippi, Georgia Tech, Tennessee. They didn't play Missouri, so they would have 3 ranked wins. Mm-hmm. Is that right? Am I missing anybody?
Mm-hmm. You got it. I'm looking right now.
That's it.
That's it. And look, again,
and
Texas
Tech, a close home loss to Bama.
And Texas Tech's resume, the teams that they beat BYU and they beat Utah. And they beat them both convincingly. And that was their 2 ranked wins. Their one loss, obviously, was the Arizona State game with the backup quarterback at the end. You know, Leavitt took Arizona State down the field to win.
Yeah, that was a good game.
That was a really good game. So I think the Georgia resume is better, obviously. But if we're going by playing the whole idea of, well, if you win a conference championship, you got one loss, the other team didn't play in it. That's why I'm saying if Texas Tech would jump them, I wouldn't go, oh, my God, because I get it. But if you ask me who's better and who should be ranked ahead of each other, I'd probably take Georgia over Texas Tech, if that makes any sense. But
I would too. And again, does this strength of schedule and that kind of thing and strength of record metric really begin to play in? I think Texas Tech is very good.
Oh, yeah. That's the best team money can buy in the country, friend.
And here's the question, too. If Ohio State and Indiana are on a collision course, and they seem to be, does the loser of that game get knocked out of the top 4?
It depends.
Or simply fall, down to 3 or 4?
I'm going to steal a line from that great philosopher, one of my favorite Himalayan monks, Jay Phillips. It depends on how you lose. Yeah. Now, if Indiana or Ohio State gets curb stomped by the other, I could see them falling. Especially look, Ohio State beat Texas at home. Texas is not in. They're barely sitting in this whole poll right now, and they're done. They're 7-3. Indiana's wins over Oregon, and that feels like a better win, right? Than beating Texas, and that was on the road in Eugene. So if Ohio State would get whooped by Indiana, we're just making up scenarios. I could see Ohio State fall down a few notches. I could, because then they have one loss. And let's say, A&M wins the SEC championship or whatever, and Georgia's sitting there with one loss with a better resume. I could see Ohio State fall a few notches. I would almost say they might deserve to fall a few notches if they got whooped really bad by Indiana.
Yeah. We'll see. But there you go. So, again, not trying to get too worked up, but a few things that I'm just kind of confused about because this committee seems to sometimes just make it up as they go along.
Jay, they do. Didn't we go through this last year and the year before that and the year before that?
Yeah.
Every year it's like they move the rules, right? That's why I'm saying you need set criteria that they go by so we can clearly see why you do what you do. Or I think a committee cam would be great. To follow them around in life would be even better. But my point
I don't need that. But a committee cam would be good. I don't need a documentary.
Oh, you wouldn't want to watch those guys?
I don't need the Real Housewives of the college football playoff.
So my point is, again, no rhyme or reason. Once again this year, just saying. All right, we'll pop back in here. What do you want to talk about now there, Jay Phillips?
Well, Patrick Davis is going to join us. He's got a big event that he does every year coming up to help a great cause, and he may want to lament what's going on with the Gamecocks. So
we'll have that next.
We'll talk to PD and see what he says. Yep.
That's post-game show in the game. Kreger Showrooms, formerly The Nest, in the Vista and Gadsden. You know, I repeat it a lot because I think it's a no-brainer. If you want things done to your home, which means a lot to you, you want experts to do it, people with a lot of experience, people who know what's up and what they do. And The Nest has that. Look, if you want to, you just call the folks at The Nest at 803-978-2025. Set an appointment. Just go over. If nothing else, look at the showroom. It's ridiculous. I say this all the time. I want to live there. They won't let me. From what they can do for your kitchen, for your bathroom, plumbing, fixtures, lighting, the things they can do to change the look of your home, and they will do it within anybody's budget. 803-978-2025. Talk to people with over 70 years of experience. Talk to folks at Kreger Showrooms, formerly The Nest. Again, 803-978-2025. Give them a ring. Now I get you caught up on what's happening on the roads. Right now we see a ton of the typical construction. I-126 near Hugie, like always, a slowdown there. Also, we have Malfunction Junction with its issues. I-126 between Bush River Road and Old Sandy Run Road, construction there as well. A few accidents. Decker Boulevard at 2-notch. Also, Sunset Boulevard near I-26. Trenholm Road at Highway 16, Beltline Boulevard. And the accident just was cleared, Forest Drive near Highway 12 at Percival Road. Our buddy Patrick Davis will hop on next here on the postgame show. Jay Phillips, Terry Ford on the game. Post-game show, Jay Phillips, Terry Ford, hanging out with you till 6. And it's been a while, right, Jay? Has it been a minute since we had Patrick?
It has been a little bit, yeah. Before we bring him on, I just want to say that I grew up here, and if you had asked me 100 times, hey, what's the state highway that is Forest Drive? I'd have been like, I have no idea. I don't know. So when I hear you say, because they report it that way as Highway 16, I'm like, what the hell is Highway 16? I have to, like, just say Forest Drive. Or you said like Triniment Beltline on that. And I'm like, yeah, Triniment Beltline. Just, like, I know, like, what is Highway what? I don't know what that means.
You know what, really, I think you should do the traffic because you know the roads better than me.
Well, I'll do it. I don't care. It's not you.
No,
it's not you. It's that they put these things on. I'm like, I don't know what that is, man. Just tell me,
I just thought of something
like
cool.
Two Notch at Decker. I know Two Notch at Decker. But they don't say Highway 1. They don't say.
I got a great idea. Maybe Patrick will agree. We put Jay Phillips between 3 and 6 p.m. doing the show from a traffic copter hovering over Columbia. What do you think, Patrick?
Oh.
I think that's a great idea. And I also will say that Highway 16 gets no love. I mean, Highway 17 down in Charleston, I mean, everybody knows that. Highway 16, I've never heard of that either. So, well, I learned something new. That's the thing about you guys is that, if you tune in, it's just educational.
See, we're like PBS. Look at us.
Yeah, Highway 17, sure. That's Myrtle Beach, Myrtle's Inlet, all the way down Georgetown, Charleston, sure. I mean, that's a whole. But yeah, I just say Forest Drive. But again, nobody says US 1 at Decker. They said Two Notch at Decker. Which, by the way, thank God nobody travels Two Notch and Decker this time of day, so an accident won't be bad. PD, how you doing, man? It's been a while. You all right?
I'm good, guys. Good to hear you guys. It's been a minute. I usually come on when football season is rocking, and this year, I feel like maybe I've just stayed away.
Well, it has been slightly underwhelming, but I know you've got something cool, and we were talking, you and I, off air a couple days ago. We are on now into PD, but this that you have going on in the Florence area, I want to kind of start with that because this is pretty cool.
Yeah, tomorrow night I am in Florence. I'm in Florence at the Francis Marion Performing Arts Center for my PBS series. And that's the first taping for season 2, and so I'm really excited. If anyone out there has not been to the Francis Marion Performing Arts Center in Florence, it is extraordinary. I'm telling you, it is one of the nicest venues I've ever been in my life, and so I'm pretty excited about it.
Been to a couple of school events there back in the day, and it is underrated. It is what I would say. Remind everybody, because this is pretty cool that you're doing this series, but remind everybody what it's all about.
Yeah, so this is the second season of Southern Songwriters with Patrick Davis. It's a national show that I do with South Carolina Educational Television, and it's aired on PBS stations all over the country. And season 1 was really, really special. I mean, when I was getting updates that it was airing in Los Angeles or New York or Chicago on Saturday nights right before or right after Austin City Limits, doesn't get much better than that. So that's kind of what's been going on. And so season 2 is kicking off. We'll do 4 episodes over the next 6 months or so in the Southeast, with a couple of those being in South Carolina. And I bring together 3 or 4 of my incredibly talented singer-songwriter pals. And then the way I describe it is it's Austin City Limits meets Anthony Bourdain, because I also do some kind of educational stuff in there and walk around the city and, talk about the things that make places like Florence, South Carolina, or Camden, South Carolina special. And that's a lot of fun. And I say Anthony Bourdain because Anthony Bourdain was usually, having fun, and usually a cocktail was in hand, and usually that's what I also do, which actually works on PBS, which is surprising, but it does.
Wow. All right.
Hey, Jay, when Patrick said he was Anthony Bourdain, I'm like, cool, he's cooking. This is awesome. Patrick Davis is making food.
No, there's no cooking whatsoever. I do eat some food every now and then. I'm cooking up cocktails. Maybe that's a good title.
That'll be another show. We'll add that one into the repertoire.
Sounds like a brewer show. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Hey, we'll see. Again, in today's world, man, everybody's got something. And then next week, something that is near and dear to you that you've been doing for a long time and has become a holiday tradition. So what can people expect when they help Toys for Tots?
Yeah, it's the 9th annual Toys for Tots show that we do at the Senate in Columbia. It's one of my favorite nights of the year. That is the Black Friday, I guess, Garnet and Black Friday, I guess we could say. And so that's a really fun night. And I feel like all of my Gamecocks and Clemson folks should come out to this one because, we've had long season. So we should just drown our sorrows together and bring some light into the world. Everybody brings toys, and the stage is filled with toys, and the Marines come out, and it's just a really great night, and it kicks off the holiday season. So anybody out there that has looking for plans, on that Friday night before the Clemson-Carolina game, please check it out, because I will say it's really hard to beat the feeling of bringing everybody together, and like toys on the stage. It looks like Elf, it's like Will Ferrell up there. So.
All right, I'm going to ask you the poll question that Elijah came up with today for the station, and that is, will beating Coastal and Clemson make you, as a Gamecock fan, feel better about how things are going into the offseason, or are you separating them? So it's a yes-no. Winning those two games make you feel better about next year or not?
Yeah, I think anybody would say that that's going to make you feel a little bit better. If we lose to Coastal on Saturday, that's going to be a even lower than low. And Clemson, it's always fun to beat Clemson. And I think the thing I got to remind all you guys out there, I had to remind myself this. I was listening when I was driving from Nashville yesterday back down in South Carolina. I was listening to the update of the BCS rankings, or whatever they call it. The championship rankings.
CFP.
And
yeah.
We lost to five of the top 12 teams. Something crazy.
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah.
We didn't lose. We're not losing to Furman and Citadel. It was like these are legitimate teams. So I think there's we just had such high expectations. But I will feel much better as long as we beat Coastal, and then if we beat Clemson, it's always fun to beat Clemson. Nobody out there is going to be upset about that. So and I love Shane and Sean Elliott and those boys. So I'm hopeful that they'll figure it out in the off season. Aren't we all? That's all we can hope for, right?
That's all you can hope for, and that's something they got to get right. So tomorrow night in Florence, next week at the Senate, and we'll have more on that for you next week too. What else is on the musical horizon for you? We got new stuff coming.
Man, I released a deluxe album of Carolina When I Die. It was kind of a fun project. It's 19 songs. You guys go check that out. I released it a couple weeks ago, and I have a new version of Carolina When I Die on it with the Blind Boys of Alabama, which is kind of a bucket list thing for me to have those guys singing on a song. So you guys check that out there, I guess. And I'm always working on things. Right now, the TV show is front and center, so I'm going to be working on that for the next 6 months. And it's just I'm just excited to be. I'm going to be in South Carolina for a few weeks, so that's exciting right there.
Well, I was going to say, I think you're spending a lot more time back home now, aren't you?
Yeah, I do. We got Lauren and I got a place in Camden now, and so we've been on the road. I've been in Nashville or on the road for most of the past 3 or 4 months, but I'm actually excited about tonight or tomorrow night in Florence and this coming weekend, because we're going to be in South Carolina for pretty much the whole holidays. So. Hopefully, maybe you'll see me around. I'll come bother you guys.
Yeah, come hang out with us, man.
Yeah,
sure.
Do it.
Yeah,
Do it,
too, man.
Absolutely.
It's good to hear y'all's voice, and I know things have been difficult over there. Not just the football team, but I think good things are on the horizon.
Well, we'll see what happens. Appreciate you as always.
Appreciate you, man.
PatrickDavisMusic.com, PD Music on Twitter. And how do they follow you on, like, Insta? Same thing, PD Music?
Yeah, Patrick Davis Music, I believe that's what it is. You can go to SouthernSongwriters.com for tickets as well for the show. But, hey, much love, guys. Go Cox. And, all right, I'll see y'all soon.
We'll see you, man.
Yeah, man. Be good. That's Patrick Davis. Good stuff. And we'll see him next week here in Columbia as well. All right, we'll come back on the other side. Terry will pepper me with questions on Jay or Nay.
It's going to be like I'm like Mike Wallace. It's going to be great.
Oh, good.
Can't wait.
All right. Not Morley Safer, just Mike Wallace?
Mike Wallace is much more tougher than Morley. Morley was kind of nice. Mike was he could be difficult. We got that coming up. Jay or Nay here on the post-game show in the game. All right, before we get to some Jay or nay, let's reset the old start bench drop. You got that there, Jay?
Yeah, start bench drop again. Earlier this week, the Big Ten proposed a 24-school college football playoff moving forward. We're at 12 now. The feeling was that we would be moving to 16 probably next year, although even that now is in some jeopardy. So start bench drop, 12, 16, 24. What do you want to see in a college football playoff? So start bench drop those. Got a few hits on Twitter that we'll get to in just a little bit. But I had predicted earlier, without saying which one it is, Terry, I had predicted earlier that everybody was going to drop the same thing. We'll see if I'm right.
I think so. I think so there, Nostradamus. Absolutely. There's no doubt. Real quick, before we get to Jay versus Jay or nay. All right, the poll question, you brought it up, and if someone hasn't seen it yet, just go to 1075 The Game on Twitter X. Poll question of the day: would wins against Coastal Carolina and Clemson make you feel better about next season? So far, we got about 135 votes, about 1,000 views. It's only been going for about 5 hours. Right now, 54% say no, 46% say yes. Couple quick comments. One was, not going to be indicative of the team we'll have next year. Losses will make things get even uglier, though. I see where that's going. I changed my answer. No, but it would not. No, it would not. But losing sure AF, whatever that means, would make me feel worse. And then I
also
answered,
feels.
Yeah, there you go. That was a good one by you. Good poll. No, the only thing that will make me feel better about next season is a true home run hired offensive coordinator. The last ones didn't make the fan base happy at all. Spend the damn money on a big-time OC. 10 wins next year, see you later. So that's where it's at on the old Twitter X poll for the station.
10 wins
10
or
wins
see you later.
See you later,
wow.
man. That's hardcore.
Yeah, okay. I might not go quite that far, but I do think, and I've said for weeks, I do think that this particular hire could be one that that is something South Carolina has never done before when it comes to compensation.
I think you have to, right? You have to.
Yeah.
If you really want to get a big-time OC, and also the idea, again, you got to look at reality. You're a coach. You are going to go onto a staff where a coach is coming off a losing season.
Yeah.
And what does that mean? So there's a lot involved in that. You're going to have to pay. The bottom line is you got to pay some scratch here, man. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
No question.
At least what, 20 million, Jay? No, anyway. Anyway. All right, man. Let me get the old. Let's get the. How about that? Let's get to this one. I like this one.
It could certainly approach $2 million, though. I'll say that much.
Absolutely. I agree.
Oh, hello.
Here we go.
Yep. All right.
All righty. Jay or nay? We'll take some quotes, and you give me Jay or nay on them. Quote: Steve Sarkisian on the rumors he's going to leave Texas. I'm not going anywhere. You buy that, Jay or nay?
Man, this has some real Nick Saban vibes to it, man. But in reverse. Jay, I think he's going to hang around. That's a good gig.
James Franklin on Virginia Tech. Tech must act like a big-time program to be a big-time program.
Yeah, Jay. I mean, are they acting like they're Virginia Commonwealth? I mean, they just what? Ponied up another $250,000 or a $250 million, excuse me.
Yeah,
I'd say that. Yeah, they're there. Yeah, he's sure Jay. Sure,
now, if you'd have said that before they decide to throw the $230 million, that's one thing. But they're starting James. But that's James saying you got to spend more, right?
Yeah.
All right. Next.
How much is he going to contribute?
Exactly. Yeah, you're making some dough there, bub. Jump on in. All right, here we go. Deion Sanders says, "We need more time, but the Buffs have the right man in Deion Sanders." Jay or nay?
Well, let's see next year, man. I like what he's doing, but what are they going to do in the portal? That's a hard league. Is that school acting like it? When you have Travis Hunter and Shador was solid last season, and then you don't, and the league gets better and kind of leaves you behind. Oklahoma State ain't going to stay down for long, Terry. Colorado, I'm not saying they're going to slip all the way to the bottom, but they better be careful. I think they do. So can I say maybe? Do we have a third category for Jay or nay?
Sure. Jay or nay or meh.
Shoulder shruggy guy?
Yes.
I think so, Dion. We'll see.
See, I'm with you, though. I think next year tells you something because, he had a really good second year with Travis Hunter and his kid.
Travis Hunters don't grow on trees, man.
Mm-mm. And, the other part is, I was reading it, Dion is heavy into the portal, heavy into going after players from, big brand type schools. Doesn't really like that whole thing called recruiting high school kids. He wants to go find some top 50 high school kid but not really dig into it. That is a tough philosophy to sustain, Jay, year to year.
That's not, you can't, I'm sorry, man, you cannot build and sustain a program without a solid foundation, and that's not a solid foundation.
No, it's tough. It's tough. All right, little Jay or Nay, you're off the hot seat now. You sweaty? You all right?
A little bit. I'll be all right.
Integrated News, 5 o'clock. News. Everybody from Integrated coming up. Quick check on the traffic. We have stop and go in Columbia. I-26, Sunset Boulevard, between Sunset Boulevard and St. Andrews. That's exits 110 and 106. Also, accidents, Decker Boulevard at 2-Notch. I-20 westbound between Wilson Boulevard and Monticello Road. That's between exits 71 and 68. South Ott Road near Prentice Avenue as well, there's an accident. Trenholm Road at North Beltline Boulevard as well. Jump back in here. The 5 o'clock news sponsored by Integrated Media. Coming up next here on the halftime show. Halftime show. What in the hell? The postgame show. That was a few years ago. Postgame show on a game. It is the post-game show, so make that point clear. All right, 5 o'clock news sponsored by Integrated Media. Real quick, two important announcements here, Jay Phillips.
All right.
Number one, our buddy Ernest called in and said, don't forget about the Toys for Tots drive. You must bring a new unwrapped toy. It must be a new unwrapped toy. It can't be a used toy, but a new unwrapped toy. You just want to make sure that everyone understands that in case they missed it. All right. Two, we were talking about another category besides Jay or Nay. Some guy named Preston Thorne texted me. You ever heard of him?
Yeah, I know that guy.
Our buddy Preston, who was listening, texted me the perfect third category. Jay, Nay, or JB instead of maybe. JB.
All right.
How good is that? That's phenomenal.
Good. Solid. And on the fly, too. I like it.
I know.
All right. Well, let's just in case. Well, I don't ever like to, like sit on the fence, but in rare instances like that, where we might need to, we need some label. So I love it. Thank you, Coach P.
JB. How about that guy?
Yeah. All right.
Very nice.
That's good.
All right, 5 o'clock.
Elijah's rubbing off on him.
I know. All right, man. All right, so from the news desk.
That's right. Let's do it.
What do you got?
Gamecocks hosting Coastal on Saturday as the conference slate is done. Carolina finishes 1-7, obviously, in the SEC. This Saturday, 4:15 kick. 23.5-point favorites are the Gamecocks with a better than 94% chance to win the ball game. How much does that matter to people? Because you're looking at, again, a 1-7, 3-7 overall. Shane Beamer asked yesterday to kind of dive into how people look at his program relative to the perception, reality situation. What did Shane have to say? Here he is.
I feel like anything that I say, perception, reality, may sound like an excuse. And in regards to this season, I think it's just the head coach, if that's what you're asking. I look at, going back to Jordan's question, I look at the reasons that we are where we are right now. And there's, certainly things that are fixable that I will fix. And you realize how close we truly are in a lot of ways, and it's an adjustment here, an adjustment there, an addition here, a subtraction there, whatever it may be. But it's when I say perception versus reality, I get it. Everything on the outside is negative, negative, negative. Everybody sucks, I'm sure, but I look at the body of work, and nobody's patting ourselves on the back because we're of where we are right now. But I do believe like there's a reality of we're not that far away. And I truly believe that. I know that. Our players know that. And that's why the conversations that I've had with the players on our team, Hale, in regards to their futures and guys that have decisions on whether or not they want to come back next season have been overwhelmingly positive. Now, I get it. The portal doesn't open until January, but I think if this thing was if the culture wasn't strong and the reality was what people maybe perceive it to be on the outside, we wouldn't have the positive things that are going on in this building, and there's a lot of them. So that's what I meant by that.
So there you go. I get where he's coming from, Terry, when he says a lot of it could be excuses. I do think he's right in some cases about the team being closer than the record would indicate. I also think it's fair to question why maybe some changes weren't made earlier or how much, because we talked about it a lot throughout the season, when in years past we've seen Shane really press upon his coordinators, and especially Mike Shula this year, play calling wise, to get some things done differently and to take better advantage of the personnel on the field or on the roster. And it felt like maybe those conversations happened, but then during games you would simply fall back into comfort levels and patterns that were clearly not working for you. So from that perspective, you know, it's a different kind of reality this year, I think.
And look, it's true. You have been in multiple games in the fourth quarter. You just couldn't make the plays, right? Well, you and I always have this conversation. There's a handful of plays in every game that basically turn this one way or another, right? Even in blowouts, you know, usually there are plays that change the game. And in these close games especially, and almost every one of those plays this year, South Carolina has not been the team making the play. The other team was. Last year, you went on a 6-game win streak. You were making all the plays, right? This year, you're not. And obviously what you do is you take a step back and once this thing ends and go, okay, why didn't we make those plays this year? Was it just talent? Was there more than talent? Were there other things and intangibles? And how much of this was coaching and, you know, the wrong hire or the not putting these guys in the proper position to succeed? Whatever it is. But again, you were close in games. You just didn't execute, or you didn't, again, you know, coach them in the right position to succeed, or coach them up correctly, or they just didn't make a play. Whatever it is, Jay, last year you didn't fall short. This year you did. And you got to sit down and find out what that difference was. And it could be a mix of all of it, right? Coaching could have been an issue. A system of offense an issue. Your players an issue. Both sides of the ball, because guys didn't make plays on both sides last Saturday. So I know. Look, it's like anything. When people are mad at you, nothing you say can fix it, right?
Right.
Whatever you say is wrong. We've all been in that relationship where at that moment, no matter what you say is going to be wrong. But there is a bit of truth to the idea that you were in position to win games, but you didn't. So are you as awful as 1-7? Probably not. But you know what you are, Jay? You're 1-7.
You're 1-7. Yeah, you are what your record says you are, and it's just a matter of how you got there and what they can do to change it. So we'll see. But interesting question. So way to go, Hale. Good one on that. We'll have more. We'll have more from Carolina football coming up in just a little bit as part of the Gamecock Notebook. In the meantime, South Carolina goes to 4-0 in men's basketball. Last night they beat Radford here at the CLA. Final score 87-58. Again, thanks to Derek Scott for passing along the intel that it's the first time since the John Roach era. Of course, two-time ACC Player of the Year and one of the best college basketball players of his generation. The first time since then, Terry Ford, that South Carolina has opened the season with 4 wins, scoring more than 80 points in each of them. Last night, Mike Sheravance had a nice night, 12 and 10. Also had a couple of assists. Kobe Knox had 10 points last night, 5 assists. Eli Ellis off the bench, 14 points, 3 assists, and 3 boards. Michi got banged up a little bit. He should be okay moving forward. Gamecocks have Butler next. By the way, we'll talk more about this later in the week, but they've got a kid who's averaging a double-double named Michael Ajay, who I think is somebody to watch out for. But beyond that, Lamont Paris, very excited about where his team is, especially with the assist, 22 assists on 34 made buckets. He likes how his team is unselfish.
Yeah, no, it was. We got a really unselfish group, and that was with, man, I thought we had 8 threes in the first half that I don't think you can buy them at the corner store. They were so wide open, but we have an unselfish group, and sometimes it gets lost in translation, some of the things that a guy like Michi does for us that way, in terms of generating, creating, even the very first play of the game, right? To think about that, you're our leading scorer, and to come right out of the gates in the first attempt to attack that you have, the first opportunity to attack, you throw a cross-court skip pass to Kobe, and he is as wide open as you could possibly be. It takes real commitment and team commitment to your team in order to make those decisions, and he's done a good job of that for us.
And Gamecocks go to 4-0. One more cut here from Lamont. And, again, you've started with some teams that you should beat, and you have, and you've done so, with the exception of Southern Miss, rather decisively. But now You've got a Big East and a Big Ten opponent. What does Lamont think about his team's preparedness for stepping up a notch?
You know, we got a lot of things going on. You're also playing in a unique venue, you know, and so it'll be good. It'll be good to learn some things about our guys. I tell you that is where the benefit of playing in NC State in an exhibition, though.
Yeah.
You had a chance to play against a top 25-ish team. They're in there right now, and so you get a chance to see what it looks like against, you know, some really highly talented and highly touted guys. And so we got at least a little taste of that, and so it would be time to take our show on the road and hopefully come back with a couple of wins in our suitcase.
There you go. And speaking of which, we'll be, Terry, I think a little preempted Friday, correct, with the Butler game?
Yeah, 1:30 pregame, and then 2 o'clock tip. We'll pop in probably about 4:30-ish, somewhere around there once it's over, between 4:30 and 5. Pick you up on a Friday to get moving. But, yeah, we'll kind of take a little chunk of halftime show and a little chunk of the postgame show for men's hoops. And, by the way, the best team they played on their schedule so far, Butler.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I was doing some digging this morning on Butler just to kind of get an idea of what they're about, because we know they have a great program. But again, the kid Michael Ajayi putting up some earnings. They haven't played. I think they had a 2-point loss at SMU. Other than that, they too have not really been tested so far this season. But I think he's averaging like 15 and 12. Terry.
Yeah, I mean he's a solid player. And Butler.
Yeah.
Just to give you an idea, if you go to my good friend Ken Palm. Top 60 offensive team in efficiency, top 80 defensive team. They like to play a little fast, Jay. They're top 70 in tempo. And South Carolina, even though they're scoring and they're faster than they've been, they're still not a up-tempo type of team. So it's going to be their first test against a solid Butler squad, not a top 25, but still good. Yeah, me too.
I'm looking forward to it.
And I'll say this,
question.
man. One of my big question marks was you didn't have a true point guard. How were you going to initiate offense, and how were you going to move the basketball? Was the ball going to stick? They are moving the rock, man. They are passing the basketball. They're moving without the ball. I like the way they're running their offense so far. Now, defensively, they got to step it up a little bit, but offensively, this is far and away the best we've seen them in the Lamont Paris era when it comes to moving the ball and scoring points.
I agree. Continuing our integrated media headlines of the day, college football playoff week 3, at least poll number 3, not week 3. I guess it's week 13 actually, but the third iteration of the CFP rankings out. No change amongst the top 3, Ohio State, Indiana, A&M, but Georgia has moved up to number 4. So based on where that would be now, Georgia would get a bye in the first week if things hold. Texas Tech, Mississippi, Oregon, all up a spot, 5, 6, 7. Oklahoma up 3 to number 8. Notre Dame holds steady at 9, and Bama drops to number 10. Again, that was one of the big points of contention, that Notre Dame is ahead of both Alabama and Miami. Notre Dame has 1 ranked win to Alabama's 4, despite both of them being 8 and 2. BYU and Utah 11-12. They got to be loving that out west.
Yeah.
Miami 13, Vandy 14, Southern California 15, and Georgia Tech number 16. Texas dropped 7 spots to 17. Tennessee is ranked at number 20. And the final 5, Terry, all moving into the poll this week. Illinois, Missouri, Houston, Tulane, and Arizona State. Hunter Yurachek is the new chair of the CFP. And speaking of that Miami-Notre Dame angle, he was asked about how they measure head-to-head amongst teams they're ranking.
Well, I think you look at what happened this week when we compared Alabama and Oklahoma in a similar spot where 8, 9, and 10, where we were comparing those teams. Oklahoma obviously got the nod based on their 2-point win at Oklahoma. So if Miami and Notre Dame are in a comparable tier, comparable range, the head-to-head will be a significant data point that we will use.
Okay.
So, again, his point there was, at this point, he basically said before that Miami and Notre Dame have not been directly compared. In other words, the committee simply looks at Notre Dame as a, dare I say my word here, Terry, significantly better football team, that they don't put the Irish and the Hurricanes, for now, in the same category. Again, on principle, I understand where they're coming from. I'm not quite sure I agree with it. I do think Notre Dame's a very good football team, and I do think that their losses are better losses than Miami's. but Notre Dame lost to Miami. And that does, again, and this committee showed us a couple of years ago, it almost feels, remember, you know where I'm going with this, Terry. A couple of years ago, they told us, hey, they got to pick the 4 best teams when Georgia was the number 1 team in the country and lost that neutral site SEC title game to Alabama. And then suddenly, because Georgia lost at the wrong time to Alabama, who had lost to Texas, that means Georgia's number 6. I'm like, no way in heck is Georgia the 6th best team in America because of one 3-point neutral site loss to Alabama. Georgia would have been favored over everybody else of those other 5 teams, and yet they got dropped out. Again, the logic sometimes is a little maddening with the CFP committee.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Notre Dame-Miami resumes aren't like so wow apart from each other. You know what I'm saying? With strength of record, Notre Dame's a little bit better in strength of schedule according to these metrics from the CPI. But again, if you look at it, you're both 8-2, and Notre Dame's best win is Southern Cal. Okay, it's fine. Yep. But again, Miami's best win is Notre Dame, and they have the same record, and their metrics aren't that far apart. So help me why they think Notre Dame is so far above Miami.
I'm trying. I'm trying.
I don't know, man.
That's our integrated media headlines of the day. We'll have some sound from Mike Furry, part of the Gamecock Notebook, next. Love telling you about our friends at Cato's Power Equipment, and their Black Friday sale is going on now through the 28th. All kinds of great things for you with the Black Friday sale, plus a chance for you to win some great stuff, including some great products from Steel. Right now, everything from Steel is 15% off. Maybe you're in the market for something really big. If you've got a lot of grass to cut and a lot of land to cover, then you can get these Gravely Zero turns. It's almost like you're riding on something out of Star Wars. I've been on one of these at the shop, and I really want one. Unfortunately, I have nowhere to keep it, and Mrs. Phillips probably wouldn't like that. But nevertheless, very, very cool. But whatever you need, great gift ideas, great ways to keep the yard looking good all year long. The Black Friday sale running through the 28th. Stop in 4012 West Beltline Boulevard, see the redone showroom, feel these tools, and get your yard looking great with our friends at Cato's Power Equipment.
All right, get that Gamecock notebook, get the dust off of it, the mold, all the other crap that's. We got like gum, dried gum, and dried food from when you were in college.
Maybe. Not gonna answer those questions. You know.
Well, you've already admitted to stealing it.
No, I permanently borrowed it. I'll take it back if they want me to.
Wouldn't that be funny to bring it back? Okay, guys.
And I want everybody to know I never stole a notebook from the Russell House bookstore. I promise. I did not steal the notebook.
No, you just promised.
Actually, it's funny. You know what's funny, man? When I went, I did one of the obligatory, real quick here. I did one of the like a lot of college kids. I went to Europe during one summer when I was in college, and I took one of my notebooks to have like a diary. I swear to God, I know it's in this house. I know it's somewhere, and it was a Gamecock notebook. It's got a big old block C on the front. I can't find it anywhere, and I'm so disappointed. I really want to find it, because I like every day I took like these really detailed notes. I mean, it was like I may never do this again, and so far I haven't ever gone back to Europe, but I can't find it anywhere. But I can still see that notebook, and yet I can't see that notebook.
So you have no clue where you put this thing.
I don't know where it is. And I know I wouldn't have thrown it away, right? Like, I know I wouldn't have thrown that away.
No,
but I don't know where it is.
I'll do like my Aunt Beulah used to say to me, well, boy, where's the last place you said it?
Yeah, well, that's, yeah. And
I always love that.
I will admit, I was 20 when I went, so there's that. But I know I wouldn't have thrown it away. Anyway, let's get to this. David Cloninger will start us off. Mike Furry is not the OC. He's still wide receiver coach, but a de facto OC of sorts, as he is the in-game play caller now. And we'll start it off with a good question, a second appearance of the day from David Cloninger.
Since you took over play calling duties, how much, maybe percentage-wise, have you taken out of the original book, and how much have you installed?
Yeah, it's a great question. With such limited time, it's hard to just take everything out and redo everything. So we really haven't taken out and added a lot. We've tried to just do what we've done, but yet maybe kind of put some wrinkles on it a little bit to simplify some things, taking out some things to kind of protect us in areas that we need to be protected. And so, and then, obviously we all have some ideas and we all game plan week in and week out. So there's always going to be new things that you add based upon situational things. But so we'll continue to do that. And we did that last week. But just doing an overhaul of the whole thing it's completely impossible right now to do that. So we're just trying to do what's best for our players.
How you doing, sir?
You look great. Is that like a little peach sweatshirt you got going on there?
It might be pink.
Love it.
I've been told.
I love it. That's pretty good.
Thanks. When you look back to last week's game, obviously, tale of two halves, so to speak. How do you separate the two halves from first, second, good, bad, and all that? How do you kind of draw the line between those two?
Yeah, it's really one word. I mean, if you go back and watch the film, and of course, I wanted to right away because I just wanted to make sure that I saw what I saw going through the game, from the first half and the second half, and reviewing the iPad in between series and things like that. But it really is just one word. It's just execution. When you look at the first half last week, we were very explosive. And we were making plays. We were taking our shots, and we were completing our shots. We had some trick plays in there that we were doing. We completed some trick plays. And then, obviously, just the things that we wanted to do consistently, we were just getting some big gains out of it and moving the ball, and which creates energy, right? All that stuff and having fun and the guys flying around creates energy. And I think what happened in the second half, just going back and looking at all of it, I think in the first half we were like 5 for 6 and really like called shots, And one's a big touchdown. Two of them are big touchdown. One to Dre, one to Nick. Obviously, he took the one that we got out of the pocket. He took it for 80. And then had some other ones. We made some, we had 14 explosives in that game last week, which is, that's a pretty good stat to have. When you go back and look at the second half, I think we were like 2 for 7 in our shot plays. 2 for 7 in the chunk plays, what we would call. And I think when we didn't hit those, then that puts you back in, second and third and long. And that's not the game that you wanted to live in. And so we definitely executed way better in the first half than the second half. And I think the other thing, too, is I think I got a little bit too aggressive. I thought maybe just from a play calling standpoint where trying to just put the game away at times, if that makes sense. And so learning lesson for me and going through this process and continue to grow in that area. But and protecting those guys instead of just trying to put the game away and get some points and do something like that. Just making sure we're better fit for that and stick to the plan. But the one word is just execution. We hit a couple of those big explosives in the second half. We just get one of them. You know, that whole game has changed from a time standpoint. And so that's the two tails of those halves.
Hey, Mike, two-part question for you. What was your reaction when you found out you were going to be the primary play caller for the rest of the season here?
Yeah.
And then, Shane's got a big decision to make with this hire after the season.
Yep.
For you personally, what would it mean to you to have that interim tag lifted off and you become the full-time OC?
Well, you guys know me well enough. I've been around this business a long time as a player and as a coach now that my job is what I do on a daily basis right now. My job right now is to make sure that I get our guys best prepared for this weekend and to try to put them in the best position to have fun and go out and coach Sean and I and Black and all these other guys on this offensive staff to go out every day and try to make improvements and try to get these guys to continue to develop. Like, that's our job, right? It's not about the future. It's not about what's next week. It's not about what's down the road. But I was excited, when Coach called me in his office and said he had made a change and wanted me to call the plays and wanted to know if I was okay with that, and which I responded yes. I mean, I was definitely up for that task and felt like I could help the guys out and help him out, which is obviously all why we're here, is to help him out and help this program win. And we've all become, fell in love with South Carolina to help this school out. But totally excited. It's a big task, trying to get this thing flipped around and in all different areas and trying to find the best players to put on the field and put them in the best position. And thought the staff did a heck of a job last week preparing our guys, and I thought our guys were way prepared. But we'll continue to do that this week, headed towards Coastal, and finish that up tomorrow and seal it up by the time we get to Saturday. But listen, I live day to day, and I believe in somebody upstairs that controls all that. So that'll be stuff that we'll play out down the road. My job right now is to make sure these guys are ready for Saturday.
All right, there is Mike Furry, the interim OC play caller. Anything hit you there real quick? Or
Well, a couple of things. Number one, 14 explosives, Terry. At number 3, Texas A&M, who has one of the most efficient defenses in the country. Again, I'm not here to say don't sweat the loss.
Mm-hmm.
But you did lose by 1 point, and you did have a lot of things going for you. It's just unfortunate that you couldn't sustain them, and Mike pointed that out. If just a couple of those hit again in the second half, for whatever reasons they didn't. And, did South Carolina, I had somebody hit me, and I don't really disagree, did South Carolina play not to lose in the second half relative to kind of going for the jugular? Perhaps in some ways. Certainly that, there again, to kind of go to the perception versus reality thing, that feels like it's a perception. How real it is, I don't know. But it felt that way. But 14 explosives for an offense that had been rather moribund most of the year, Terry, that's something. It's not enough because you didn't win. But it does show you that you maybe took advantage of some things that simply weren't there before. Can you have those translate these next couple of weeks? That would be the hope. But, they played well enough to win and still didn't win. And again, like you said earlier, 1-7 is still 1-7. You can't do anything about that anymore.
Right. I thought the thing about him saying they streamlined some things was interesting. And the explosives are great. It's just the one thing this offense just has not done consistently under Shane is be efficient and be able to drive the ball down the field and score points efficiently. It's always got to be big plays and explosives. At some point, you got to be able to run efficient offense too. But I'm like you. I love the explosives. All right, drive around the SEC with our buddy Jay Phillips live from Greg Sankey's garage. That's coming up next here on the Postgame Show.
AAA Heating and Air, ready to keep you and your family nice and comfortable, not just through these cool or even cold weeks, I'll say, weeks, across this part of the country, but for many years to come. When's the last time you had that furnace inspected? Does it rattle when it comes on? Is it time to make sure it's going to be good for you when we do get those cold nights? 803-677-1500, whatever heating unit you may use. Nice idea to get it inspected. Time for something new. Then Roy and Dana Finley and the folks at AAA ready to help you out. Listen, guaranteed financing. You got no payments or interest for a year. You get a $1,500 system buyback rebate and a 15-year parts and labor guarantee. We got a new system in the upstairs of our house earlier this year. Everybody's happy with it. That means they're nice and comfortable, and they're not hollering at me to do something about it. Do the same for you. 803-677-1500. Stay nice and warm with AAA Heating and Air.
Let's get a look at the traffic real quick. We have two more of these. This one and one more. Right now, stop-and-go traffic, I-26 westbound between Sunset Boulevard and St. Andrews Road. That's exits 110 and 106 between that area. Also, Hugie at Blossom, we have an accident. I-20 westbound between Farrow Road and Monticello Road between exits 68 and 72. I-20 westbound before Fairfield Road, that's exit 70. Two Notch at Park Lane Road. So that is your list of accidents. Also, obviously, we have our construction issues led by I-126 between Hugie and I-26. Come back, drive around the SEC on the postgame show. Post-game show. Get my earbuds in here. Terry Ford, Jay Phillips, get ready to get that drive around the SEC here in just a minute. You okay? You with me? You hanging around?
I am here.
You're here?
And not only that, I want to remind everybody, we talked about it earlier with David and mentioned it a couple of times, but about an hour from now, Brad Muller on the call, Gamecocks and Winthrop, Carolina women's basketball from CLA.
Yep.
So,
yep. Got that tonight. We have men's basketball Friday, 1:30 pregame, 2 o'clock tip. We have our Friday high school football scoreboard show. Man, we're stacked. We got stuff going on everywhere. We're busy.
That's all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Busy.
Man, we're gonna have to do like a whole show inside of an hour and a half on Friday.
We got to jam it all in, dude.
Yeah, we'll have a wild card showdown and drive around the SEC and sound from Shane. We'll fit it all in, and a recap of the basketball game.
We'll get her done. We'll figure it out.
I hope so. I mean, that's what we're here for. We're here to make it happen. Drive around the SEC time. I mentioned this earlier, Terry. You asked me during Jay or Nay. Steve Sarkisian has rumors swirling around him that he is leaving Texas. And he says those rumors are, quote, absolutely false and untrue, and that he is, quote, not going anywhere. Now, Desmond Howard, earlier this week, posted a video saying he wouldn't be surprised if the job opens because of a, quote, mutual parting of ways. I don't know where he got it from, but Chris Del Conte is the very influential AD at the University of Texas, and he says, this is news to me on Twitter. This is news to me. Thanks for the insight. And he has a face palming man emoji on there. So there's that. Last month, Sarkisian's agent, Jimmy Sexton, disputed a report that said NFL teams would be interested in him. Of course, he has been in the NFL a couple of times with the Raiders and the Falcons as an assistant coach.
He was the OC
but
in
he said it.
Yep.
Yeah, he said at the time, I've had no discussions, not with my agent, not with the university, not with any other school, not with any NFL team, about ever going anywhere else. I came here to win championships. I told you earlier that it had some of those Nick Saban vibes in reverse of when when Saban was still with the Dolphins and then went to Alabama, like I'm not going anywhere kind of a thing. I'm not predicting that that's where we are with this, Terry, but I don't. How do I put this? I'm not surprised that there is interest in Steve Sarkisian from the NFL. I think the guy is a brilliant offensive tactician. He understands what it takes to succeed at that level in addition to this level. But at the same time, this is pretty emphatic. And so I guess my point would be, you leave now after saying I'm not going anywhere and I came here to win championships, and your boss is going, well, this is news to me, would be a rough look. So,
yeah,
I guess we got to take him at his word for now, or give him the benefit of the doubt that he's not going anywhere. But again, I understand why there could be interest from the next level in who he is and how he runs an offense.
Yeah, I mean, look, he was, like you said, he's been in the NFL, and one of the biggest things we talk about is, college coaches with no NFL experience, except for a couple of cases, are not successful. But Sarkisian, I mean, he was an OC in Atlanta, so here's a guy that's been a coordinator. So I can see the NFL looking at that offense and looking at, he did make the college football playoff back-to-back seasons, and so you say, okay, well, he is successful, has been successful at Texas. He has a really creative offensive mind. Maybe we give that a shot. I could see an NFL team at least talking to Sarkisian. Now, again, that interview will tell you some things where you move forward, but I can see Sark getting some interviews, and maybe somebody decides to give him a shot. I mean, I wouldn't be stunned, Jay, to be honest.
I wouldn't either, but I also understand that he's making $11 million a year, basically, to
you know what it
Texas.
is? Let me ask you this, because I think this is always a wild card now with these coaches in the college game. Doesn't it come down to, are you sick of NIL? Are you sick of the portal? Are you sick of the calendar? Are you sick of re-recruiting your own players and recruiting other players? Oh, yeah, still recruit high school kids. And in the NFL, I can just coach ball. I don't deal with all this nonsense. I'm not buying groceries and cooking meals. I am coaching football, and I'm CEOing a team.
Yeah.
Some of those guys will go, you know what? Compared to this craziness in college, that sounds pretty good to me. So, but you're right. When you come out and bang the table like Rafael Palmeiro in Washington, D.C.,
well,
and then it comes out where you go, again, that's not a good look. Does Sark care? Maybe not. But it's not a good look once you jump up like that and pound the table and jump like Tom Cruise on the couch on Oprah or whatever. So,
yeah, I look, anything is possible, but I'm gonna, for now at least, I think take him at his word, because otherwise I don't say these things, and he's got an agent that'll tell him, hey, kid, don't go out there saying something definite if you don't mean it.
Don't
Just,
box yourself in a corner you can't get out of.
You can dance around these questions all the time. I love it here. My family loves it here. Well, we're getting ready to play whomever they've got this weekend.
I mean, be like Kiffin. Kiffin has been dancing. I mean, Kiffin's feet hurt so bad he's been dancing.
Yeah. So, anyway, we'll see. Speaking of Kiffin, the drama continues to play out. By now, most of you have probably heard that his family, his ex-wife and his son, who is a highly rated quarterback in high school, only a sophomore, but they visited a couple of high schools in Gainesville, and they took a visit to Baton Rouge. My question, Terry, isn't about that. My question is this, and I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit.
Okay.
Who is LSU's second choice?
Ed Orgeron. I mean, honestly,
I feel like Florida has some second choices. I feel like LSU right now does not.
No, I think LSU is. I think that they're throwing everything toward getting Lane Kiffin, and it feels like then they'll figure it out. Remember this though, their AD. How much experience does this AD have about being an AD?
As the AD, about 2 weeks.
Okay, the governor has more experience being the AD, and I think he's the AD anyway. I have a feeling this search is going to be pretty clunky before it's over with, but it shows you a bunch of inexperienced people are running this show, because I'm like you. I haven't heard a list of candidates. I haven't heard a second candidate, a third candidate. Everything's about Kiffin. I don't know if it's arrogance, inexperience, but it is weird how it seems like it's all Lane or right now, then plan B is, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think there is a plan B right now. By the way, Texas has Arkansas this weekend. Tennessee plays Florida. Vandy and Kentucky. And the only other conference game, Terry, Missouri visiting Oklahoma. Mizzou, Oklahoma is a ranked game. Vandy needs to watch out for Kentucky. Tennessee, Florida in Gainesville. In Tennessee, Florida can play defense, man. They're not very good at much else, but they can play defense.
You know what, bro? Florida's such a wild card because they have so much talent. DJ Lagway a couple weeks ago kept throwing the ball to the other team to where they wanted to get him set for contact lenses, and then the following week he plays really well. I mean, you're right. Defensively, they're good. They have a ton of talent. You want to talk about it's like that movie Split. You don't know what personality you're going to get every Saturday from this team. It's craziness. But to your point, in Gainesville, that could be dangerous.
I don't know why, and I probably shouldn't be, but I'm most worried for Vanderbilt.
You know what? Me too, and I don't know why, because they're so much better than Kentucky. But aren't we thinking any minute they're going to Vanderbilt, right? They're going to become Vanderbilt again?
Yes. I'm not going to hold. I'm not holding losses at Texas and at Alabama against them.
Nope.
I'm not.
You know what else with me? I'm really rooting for them hard. I want to see them make the college football playoff. I really do. And
I don't think 9-3 Vandy gets it, especially if they lose. But
they got to win the next two, Jay. They just have to.
Yeah. I think you got to be. But I think 10-2 Vandy is in, and that would be remarkable.
Would not. I love
that. Would be remarkable.
Love to see them in, man. Hey, by the way, really, I know we got to go, but ready? If that happens, Vanderbilt and Indiana are in the college football playoff.
Oh my gosh. I love it. That means it's working. The parity
I love it, man.
Has been created in this sport for the first time, ever. We'll see. That's the drive around the SEC, brought to you by Herndon Chevy. We'll give you our picks on start, bench, drop, and a little Jay versus the internet coming up.
All righty. Got a little Jay versus the internet coming up. But first, let's get our start bench drop.
Yeah, today's start bench drop was 12, 16, 24. How many schools you want in the CFP? This after a proposal on Monday by the Big Ten. Kind of fell under the radar on Monday, but they had a meeting in Charlotte, and the Big Ten pitched 24 to the other Power 4 leagues, saying, hey, we'll all get 4 in automatically, 2 G5s, and 6 at-larges. 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 2 plus 6. And no decisions were made. But anyway, I predicted when I threw this one out that that I knew what everybody would drop. So we've got a few here. A guy named Jay Bird, not me, but Jay Bird says start 12, bench 16, drop 24. Andrew says start 16, bench 12, drop 24. And he adds someone's smoking loco weed, perhaps. I guess I don't know if that's Tony Petiti or somebody on his staff, but they're the ones that did it, man. Don't look at me. Brent just said 16. He doesn't care about the others. Craig said start 16, bench 12, drop 24. He added a nice note for my health. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Steven says I'm starting 16, benching 12, cutting 24. And our buddy Lou Bajak, start 16, bench 12, cut 24. So far, Terry Ford, I was right about everybody benching at 24. I'll do what Lou did and what Steven did and a couple others. I'm going to start 16. I like 16. It's a nice round number. Gives us more home games, which I'm all here. Really, I've told you, Terry, I want games on campus until the title game.
Absolutely.
Sorry, quote, bowl games. Not working for me anymore as a lifer college football fan. So start 16, bench 12, and cut 24. 24 is just unwieldy, and I don't want this thing dragging out any longer unless we're going to start the season. If they said we're going to start the season August 1st, you might convince me to go for 24. But since I know they're not going to do that, it's out.
Yeah, it's just too many. And like you said, the schedule doesn't allow for it unless you're going to really revamp the schedule. This is going to be so boring. I'm with you guys. Start 16, bench 12, and not just cut 24. Bury 24.
Expunge it.
Yes.
Expunge it, yes.
Yeah,
Launch
16
it
is
into
fine
space.
for me. Yes, absolutely. I'm fine with 16. I'm fine with 16. I am. But 24, like you said, unless you're going to start the schedule in August, don't bring it up. Just don't.
Yeah, and we can't do that around these parts.
Well, you think it'd be a little hot? Think it'd be a little hot, Jay?
Too hot. Unless we, it would be fun if we had games at like 2 a.m.
There you go.
That'd be about the only way to do it, man.
All right, ready for a little Jay versus the internet? You set to go, brother? All right, we got 2 college football games and a college basketball game.
All right.
So I will start you with the college football. Oh, more action, baby. Miami of Ohio at 5-5 travels to Buffalo 5-5. Miami of Ohio on the road, 2.5-point favorites. So Buffalo is getting 2.5 home dog.
Give me Pete Limbo's home dogs, man.
Absolutely.
Big Pete Limbo fan. So give me the fight, Pete Limbo's.
I would love to hear his speeches to those players in Buffalo.
Yeah, well, he just takes stuff from Patton.
Exactly. Or maybe, I don't know, road trip. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Few good men.
Animal House. Anyway.
Yeah.
In the words of the great John Blutarski. All right, Central Michigan at Kent State. Central Michigan 7.5-point favorites. They're 6-4. Kent State's 4-6.
I'm still. I got a rough spot in my head and heart for Central Michigan after all those shenanigans, but they're probably going to get it done today. So Central Michigan.
All right, now we go to hoops. Men's college basketball. A good one tonight. Number 4 Arizona, number 3 UConn in stores. UConn 4.5-point favorite at home.
Man, something tells me Arizona's going to win this game. It's kind of like I said about Arizona's football team the other day, and they did. Give me Wildcats on the road, man, plus the points. I think they might win this game.
Tommy Lloyd's done a solid job at Arizona.
Yeah.
It really has.
Yeah.
So we'll see what they do at UConn. 4.5.
I know it's a big ask. But something's talking to me.
Arizona's played well so far this year. Obviously, UConn's undefeated too, but that's gonna be a fun game.
Should be
fun game. All right, there we go. Good job on a little action and some top 10 basketball. Look at you.
Yeah, go Pete. Go Pete.
Absolutely. But he's done okay there. They're 5-5 this year. They went to a bowl game last year.
They're good. Yeah, they're good. You know, they're good. I like Pete.
Good man. Good people.
Yeah. All right, good stuff. Thanks to David Cloninger. Thanks to PD. And thanks to Tyler. Again, Terry, I got a few minutes of the Tyler Head Sports Experience. That was all right.
How about that guy?
Yeah.
Telling you.
That was fun.
Good deal.
All right, we'll do it all again.
I appreciate Tyler, too, for jumping in for me.
Yeah, that was good. We'll do it all again tomorrow for you. Shane Bieber talks tomorrow night as well. Till then, be safe.
All right.
For Terry, I'm Jay. Later.